Chapter 15, Trace Minerals, Screencast 5. Now, this particular screencast will not be addressing minerals directly, but it is a clinical perspective that is focusing on nutrients, diet, and cancer. Cancer is the second leading cause of death in North America, and I'm sure many of you in this class have been impacted by either knowing someone close to you or someone that has had cancer or actually passed from cancer. Now, unsurprisingly, nutrition plays a role to help protect against cancer. If we look at some ways in which this happens, probably the biggest is via antioxidants. And this will be vitamin E and selenium. But also if we look at calcium and vitamin D, those are other nutrients we know that will help prevent or protect us against cancer. One thing that will increase the risk for cancer is something that is typical of the North American diet, and that is excessive intake of fat and calories. Both of these result potentially in the increased risk for cancer. What cancer technically is, it is characterized by the abnormal and uncontrolled division of altered cells. Now, cells that are most commonly impacted are going to be epithelial cells. Now, remember, when we talk about epithelial cells, one of the characteristics is that they have a high rate of replication. This makes sense that this might be the type of cell that would be more susceptible to cancer due to this high rate of replication and the ability for these cancers to spread and metastasize. Now, there are two different types of tumors that can occur. Benign tumors are those that are considered to be non-cancerous, whereas malignant tumors, those are those that will invade surrounding structures and metastasize, which is spread to other areas of the body. Now, not all cancers will metastasize and is something that is specific to cancers. Two cancers we know in which significant metastasization takes place is lung cancer and also breast cancer. Most cells actually have a balance between turning on and off the process of cell replication. When we talk about carcinogenesis, it is actually a three-step process. The first step of the process involves somehow a cell being exposed to something that is characterized as a carcinogen. Promoters will actually encourage an uncontrolled replication of the altered DNA, and this actually results in the progression of cancer. Here we're basically looking at normal skin cell and how it actually develops cancer. You have a normal skin cell known as a melanocyte. Now, things such as chemicals, radiation, smoking, and viruses are things that can actually alter cell DNA. Now, because of exposure to this particular carcinogen, the cell DNA is actually altered. This is the initiation of the cancer. Now, next we have the promotion phase. This is where we see increased cell division of altered cells, and this is actually needed to promote the development of most cancers. Once again, we are looking at a skin cancer. Now comes the progression phase. This is actually uncontrolled growth of cancer cells and the formation of a tumor. Here we basically can see normal skin. Okay? And notice what we have here is the progression of that cell tumor. Now notice that this tumor is also well vascularized, so there are potentials for cells from this tumor to actually migrate to other sites to form additional tumors elsewhere within the body. Another avenue would actually be the lymphatic system. Genetics play a small role in the development of cancer, although there are some cancers that we know there is a relatively strong cancer component. If we talk about breast cancer, those individuals that actually have the BRCA gene. But keep in mind, environmental factors actually play a much greater role. Factors include exposure to radiation, chemicals, and air and water pollutants, lack of physical activity, smoking, diet, and obesity. Now, dietary factors include diets that are low in fruits and vegetables, excessive energy intake that actually leads to obesity, the high intake of meat, especially red meat and meats that are grilled, fried foods, a decreased intake of whole grains and fiber, an excess intake of alcohol, and also decreased intakes of vitamin D and calcium. So it's obvious here that diet actually plays a significant role. The next two slides actually give an example of a diet that's actually intended to limit the risk of cancer. Note that it is high in fruits, vegetables, and antioxidants. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire diet. This is something that you can do on your own, but it is a really good example of a diet that will actually help prevent cancer. And also take note that this is something that is actually palatable. And I think that is a very important thing that our textbook does. It promotes lots and lots of examples of diet plans and such. And they all, for the most part, are generally going to be something that is appealing. And that's important whenever we're talking about any type of diet. This is dinner and snack of the same type of diet. Now, when we look at diet and health guidelines for cancer prevention, the first is actually choose a diet that's rich in a variety of plant-based foods and making sure that you're getting plenty of vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. Do not rely upon supplements to decrease the risk of developing cancer. Try to maintain a healthy weight and be physically active. If you drink alcohol, do so in moderation. Start selecting foods that are low in salt. Avoid sugary drinks and processed meat. Limit the intake of red meats. And if we are looking at someone as far as breastfeeding, someone that has been breastfed for 6 months.